Let me introduce you to the brand new BMW 328i xDrive GT or Gran Turismo. And the most important thing you have to know about this car is that it does not share a single bit of sheet metal with the 3 Series. In fact, it's much larger. And coming up next, I'm going to give you an up-close and personal take on the brand new BMW with the great trunk, as Emmy says. Now, Emmy's going to give you a full review of this BMW coming up very soon, but before then, I want to give you my personal take on this vehicle. And I guess what is most important is, well, obviously, back here. It's this giant trunk. It follows in the tradition of the 5 Series Big Brother GT, which also has a massive trunk. And unlike the 5 Series, I think this car actually works. It's kind of a hybrid between a station wagon, a crossover, and a sedan. And what makes it unique is that you have a lot more room than in a traditional 3 Series. In fact, there is more room in the back seat than you have in a 7 Series. And that's because this car was built on the chassis of a Chinese 3 Series, which gives it a lot more room back here. Now here's something that's very unique to BMW. It used to be that when you wanted to open the hood, or the bonnet as you Brits like to say, you would pull this lever and it would open. But not anymore. You have to pull it twice, which does all the magic for you, which means that you no longer have to reach underneath for the little hood latch so that you can get at this BMW 2-liter turbocharged engine, which puts out 240 horsepower. Now this car comes in 2 variations, the 328 and the 335. The difference is that under the 335's hood or bonnet is a 3-liter, 300 horsepower turbocharged engine. They're both quick, they're both fast, and in America at least, they're both mated to an 8-speed automatic. In Europe, you gotta live with a 6-speed. One of my personal pet peeves is when a car has some sort of decoration that has no function, but check this out. This GT has an air intake right here that comes out back here, and I suspect that is to cool the brakes. And this little funky feature right here, which is unique to the GT, also is functional aerodynamically. Air intake, air outtake. I like that. I like the fact that BMW actually put something on the car that not only looks cool, but does something. Unlike, for instance, Buick that has these 3 little hood vents that just look cool, but really don't do anything. Of course, you can't really tell by looking at the car, but if you were to compare it to a standard 3 Series, it would be wider, it would be taller, and it would of course be longer. And all that means is that there is a lot of functionality and a lot of utility in this GT. Now, that comes at a price, and that price is 300 pounds. This car is 300 pounds heavier than a standard 3 Series. Now, the first thing you notice when you get behind the wheel of the GT is that you're in essence sitting behind a modern crossover. It's got a lot more headroom, it's got this ginormous sunroof. It feels like somebody took a standard 3 Series, put it in the oven, and it puffed out to a GT. I'm not in love with this interior. I think it feels like a BMW, but some of the plastics, especially the door handle, which is a place that you grab a lot, feel a little bit cheap. Otherwise, of course, it's very logical, it's very mechanical, it's very BMW. Now, BMW says there are over 20 different ways to adjust these rear seats, including folding a 30-70 split. How about a 50-50 split? Or, of course, how about completely folding all of the seats down, giving you a ginormous amount of room for all your stuff, all your pets, and anything else that you want to carry back here. In some ways, this car is a bit schizophrenic. I mean, check out this, which I think is one of the coolest features of the car. It's this little spoiler that you can push a button and raise and lower. It says, I'm all about speed, I'm all about sport. But when you push this button and you see the hatchback flip open and you see what basically is a queen size bed, it says, I'm all about utility, I'm all about functionality. So is this BMW meant for carving canyons, or is it meant for carrying stuff? It's a little bit of both. There are actually 4 different drive modes, all the way from economy to super sport, where the traction control is deactivated. The one thing I did learn by driving this car for a week is that the steering is rather numb. I miss the old days when we had direct connections between the steering wheel and the road. By far the best feature of this GT is found behind the steering wheel. No, not the steering feel, but these paddle shifters. This car has an exquisite 8-speed automatic or paddle shifting transmission. It rips shifts like there's no tomorrow. And that's unusual for something that has this much functionality. All right, if I'm being completely accurate, there are in fact 4 drive modes. There's Eco Pro, where there's a stop-start feature where the engine will turn off at stoplights. There is Comfort, which is, well, what you think comfortable. There's Sport, and then there's not Super Sport, but Sport Plus. And Sport Plus, everything gets tightened up. The steering becomes sharper. The shift points become higher up on the rev scale. It just becomes a much more sporty car, or at least as sporty as you can get with a hatchback. BMW keeps improving the iDrive, and this latest version is getting better. But you know what? I'm still not a huge fan. I have not fallen in love with BMW's user interface. There's a lot of little buttons, there's a lot of ways you can toggle the switches, there's a lot of sub-menus. At the end of the day, it's very functional, yet very complicated. This is a system that is not incredibly intuitive. If you buy this car, I'm willing to bet that you're going to have to break out the owner's manual when you want to do very simple things like program your favorite stations, and that's an issue. I love the fact that Germans built a lot of functionality into everything they do. It's all very logical, it's all very straightforward, but at the end of the day, more functionality, sometimes the less user-friendliness, and this car kind of falls in between that. So I give it a 5 on the functionality / user-friendliness scale when it comes to the latest version of the iDrive. Now you might be asking yourself, why not just get the station wagon? And I would say, heck yeah, get the station wagon. It has all the functionality, but it has less room than the GT. It really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a 3 Series with the room, the utility, and let's face it, the functionality of a modern crossover, then this is a car for you. If you're looking for something that's a little bit sharper, a little bit more dialed in, then get the wagon, because it's slower, it's lighter, and it handles better. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car, and this has been my up-close and personal take on the brand new BMW 328i. Great trunk. No, GT. No, great Turismo. No, you know what I mean. Nathan, I have no doubt that you could drive 5,000 miles without any issues, except, of course, pouring in gas into this road. But can you say the same thing about a 1968 Tatra?
Oh, God, no, you can't. I don't think so.
And we want to find out. So thank you, first of all, to everybody who's backed our Prague to Pebble Beach. You guys are wonderful. We're grateful. And if you're interested in seeing me and Nathan try to drive a 1968 Tatra all the way from Prague to Pebble Beach this summer, go to our Kickstarter page, please.
Folks, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for not only us to drive it, but for you guys to be a part of it. So check it out. The details are right there on the page. You're going to dig it.
Yeah, click below. And remember, it's about telling the untold story of what became, I think, the Volkswagen Beetle.
And the Porsche 911.
Exactly. Do we have you curious?